Hello, I'm Walter Maurer with Maurer Woodworking. Today I got a pretty simple project. It's to make a small bench. Well, actually, it's a stool. I'm going to be making out of black walnut, and throughout this video you'll see the process that I go through in actually building this. It's a fairly simple project, but it was actually a lot of fun doing it. I'm heading to an area of my shop where I got a lot of cutoffs from other projects that I have. I had already decided to use black walnut to make this stool for a customer of mine. The dimensions are roughly 20 by 18 by a foot, and I think this piece I got in my hand right now, I'll be able to get the two sides, the top, and it's the right thickness, so pretty close to it. The setting for the camera was set wrong for the lighting. I did correct that later on. I'm taking the piece of wood that I took out from my inventory and cutting it down roughly 20 inches. I need 3 pieces, 2 for the sides and 1 for the top. So here I'm taking the one of the 3 pieces and basically securing it onto my slider here, and basically what I need to do is trim off the edges. As you can see, what I'm trimming off right here is the outside of the edge, what was one time the where the bark was. So I just need to square that up and then run that through my joiner afterwards. Alright, now I'm running the piece of stock through my joiner. I do one of the edges and one of the face plates. They get a perfect 90-degree angle, which then I will take back to the table saw and square up the other edge. And here I'm just squaring off the edge. I'm cutting off basically what the full height of the stool is going to be at this point. This piece is the top where you'll be sitting on, and what I'm doing here is I'm rounding the corners off. With the bandsaw, and what I wanted to do here as far as the sides, I just didn't want to have 2 blocks of wood for the sides. I don't want to give it some kind of a curve to it, so I figured to keep the top and the bottom to provide a decent base, but I could basically create some curves into the sides and still provide the stability to make it safe to still sit on it. Cutting everything off the bandsaw, I head to the sander and basically got to sand out the edges so everything was proportioned. It's a bit tedious, but it will look good in the end. So to connect the top to the 2 sides, the best way to make a connection and a secure one is to use a mortise and tenon joint connection. What you're seeing right here in the video is I'm cutting the tenon, and later on you'll see I'll be chiseling out the mortise, and what that does is you connect the tenon, the piece that you're seeing right here that I'm cutting out, into the mortise, which will be the top, and you put glue in there. That will never come apart. It's a very secure way of connecting 2 pieces of wood. better view of the tenon for the two sides. All I'm going to be doing right now is just sanding it after I cut it off from the table saw. Here I'm chiseling out a mortise for the sides. I basically got a support rail that ties the two sides together to provide it more stability. This is the mortise, and this is basically the top where you sit on. If you recall from the previous video, this is where the tenon ties into the mortise. Everything's been cut, and basically we're entering the sanding phase. And what I do is I start out with 150 grit, and I move to 180, 220, 340, and between each of the grits for sanding, I use the compressor to blow out any of the dust inside the grains. Now that everything's been sanded, I'm going through the glue process. Once the glue process is done, I let it sit for 24 hours. And this you have to be pretty quick at. What you see me wiping on, there's actually water for any of the glue that actually comes down. I try to mask everything off, but sometimes it gets onto the wood and you want to clean it up as fast as possible. It's been 24 hours since the glue all process, so everything is dried now. And now we can proceed on to applying the coating. What I'm using here is Osmo. Originally I was going to use Rubio Monocoat, but Osmo and Rubio, they're both really good. So basically what you do is just apply it onto the wood and buff it in there, let it sit for a while, and I just wipe it off and let it sit for 24 hours. And then usually what I do is I put a second coat. As you can see, through time, you can actually see how the grain and the texture of the wood actually starts to pop right out. So after about 24 hours through that period, you actually see it actually get a little bit darker and a little bit richer looking. Now for everyone's favorite part of these videos, I've got a couple outtakes of things that went wrong during this build.
Welcome back.
Forgot my name. Not good.
Hi, I'm Walter Maurer from what?
Well, you made it through the entire video. Thank you. If you could do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe, I'd very much appreciate that. And leave a comment. Let me know what you liked about the project and also on the video, so I can improve on the next one that I produce. Thank you so much. Bye.